How do fractional CMOs hit the ground running? Hi, I'm Dean Way. Welcome to Fractional CMOs and the 90-Day Win. There's a lot of variety in how they kick off a new client engagement. In fact, there's so much variety, it's valuable to just listen to what opportunities they look for, what they tackle first, and what they wish wasn't true when they start a new project. So let's find out. Natalie, let's start with you. Hi.
Hello.
Okay, imagine you just started a new one-year engagement. Okay, you're the fractional CMO. We'll talk about early wins in a moment. But first, what problems do you typically see, or what problems do you normally look for on day one of an engagement?
Yeah, and it typically starts before day one of an engagement as part of the sales process and as part of understanding the company, typically the founder or the CEO and what they've experienced and their challenges and why they're reaching out for a fractional CMO in the first place, because I need to know if I'm going to be able to help them based on where they're at, based on their expectations, the resources they have available, et cetera. So really it starts with, why are we having this conversation? And what I hear so much of the time is, we're investing in marketing. You know, we have a couple of people helping us here and there, or we're working with an agency, but nothing is cohesive. We aren't getting traction with anything. There's no momentum. We don't know what it's doing for us. We don't know where we should be focused and why. And these are all things that I hear and know pretty quickly. There's no strategy and there's no marketing leadership in place to be that person to say, I love all the wonderful ideas and I see what competitors are doing. I see what other people are doing in the space, but those things don't make sense for our company and for what we're trying to do. And so that's what I really seek to understand is, are the founders open and coachable and willing to learn and willing to go through that path and that process with me? And I really try to understand that from the first conversation. So.
Oh, and I apologize, but I forgot to mention, tell the audience who you are and what.
Oh my gosh, yes, an intro. So I'm Natalie Swan. I started my business back in 2017, and I help B2B businesses, typically $3 to $20 million, with their marketing strategy, and not only the strategy, but making that really actionable and doable for the businesses. So as the CMOs on this podcast will know, strategy is only as good as the implementation, the execution, how you are able to test and learn and iterate. And so I saw a need for this, almost 7 years ago. And this is what I've been doing ever since. So, yeah.
All right. So Mary, over to you then. What sort of problems or sort of red flags do you look for or typically see when you kick off a new engagement? And I won't forget this time, tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, by the way. This is great.
Yeah.
My name is Mary McKeown-Christie. I founded Maven Marketing Solutions here in Austin, Texas in 2009 after my third merger and acquisition, and I was asked to move to Virginia, and I politely declined. I had just moved to Austin. And really, I just lost the earpiece, sorry. Give me a second. That'll be an edit. Okay. I started Maven because I was doing such a good job in marketing and this was a thing, and really trying to understand, great, you're being rewarded for doing great work. So I started Maven because I really just said, well, why don't I take this expertise to companies that really need it and really want to grow? So my expertise comes in where I am a strategic marketer. I am a fractional CMO, so I call myself the puppet master in a lot of ways. But I'm focused on figuring out in their systems and in their strategy and in their sales processes of management, how can we drive revenue really quickly in the least painful way, right? Every company is very different. Every company has their own issues. But a huge part of this, too, is the mindset that Natalie referred to, being open to realizing that, hey, we need leadership and we're going to have to do a few things a little differently. And it really means change. And it's important for organizations to be in that mindset for this to work. I know I hear a lot of complaints about marketing quite often, and it's because they've never set up any systems to actually report and provide transparency and accountability, not just for marketing, but with sales and the full organization together, so that everybody's moving in the same direction and they see what's happening, right? So yes, that was a very clunky intro. My apologies. My earbud falling out wasn't exactly great, but hopefully that gives you an idea of the kind of work we're both doing. Natalie and I are both doing here.
Yeah.
Red flags. Okay, so in the process, when we start talking, I'm sure Natalie will confirm this too, but you're basically going through discovery questions, and it's usually a couple different meetings before you decide, okay, you guys seem like we agree that we're going to try working together, right? And we're going to see how this goes. So always what happens on day one, you come in there and you start asking questions. Okay, so tell me about your marketing infrastructure and your reporting. And huge red flag comes up for me when they don't have a CRM. I've been approached by several multi-million, 10 million plus companies that are using ERPs, B2B ERPs. They're not even open to using a CRM. And so then I have to educate them politely on, well, this is part of the issue. And this is what it does and why it's so important. And really, it helps really solidify a really great working relationship with sales. Because in my head, I'm the hunter. It's my job to go out and find all the prospects, the qualified prospects, not the junk, not the spam. I want to go in and hone in on the people or corporations that could use this product or service, right? It's my job to bring attention, drive awareness, and bring the leads in. And then I need to make sure that sales is working those leads and converting them to opportunities and working through them. And they rely on marketing a lot for, hey, I need content. I need educational content. I need videos. I need articles. I need presentation materials to walk the prospect through how this all works. It's a really strong partnership. And if those two things don't happen, if they aren't structured as partners and they, number one, what I'm seeing now is a lot of companies want the CMO, the fractional CMO or the CMO to report to the head of sales, which is a huge red flag and should not ever happen.
Right.
They are colleagues, right? So peers, yes. But really, I mean, they should be partners. It's a marriage. It is a marriage. And we need to find out, okay, what do you guys need? And then I need to make sure that they understand, okay, this is what I need from you, and this is how we have to work together. And then we're gonna get the secret sauce going, and we're gonna have success. Because the C-suite, the CEOs, all they care about is the revenue, the bottom line. They don't care how you get there. They just go do it. So so it's definitely mindset and willingness to change and getting the right solutions in place to support the marketing activities so we can be successful.
Okay, then let's keep going with that, but with a little bit of a pivot. So like what kind of like early wins or low hanging fruit do you like to deal with first while you're also like doing your planning and sounds like in some of your cases, evaluating CRM systems and to get started?
Yeah, so early wins for me come down to parallel paths, meaning, okay, what do you guys have right now? So if we don't have a CRM and we know we need it, it's going to take a while to get one up and running, but we do have lists as an example. We do have our customer prospect list. We have something. They're working with something. So why don't we work on relationship management and communicating with them? And Natalie, should you jump in here too? But you're trying to get the engine going on, hey, let's talk to sales, go through the processes. What is missing? Where are the gaps right away, you guys? Because they're on the ground talking to people. And then identifying that and trying to get something going with a campaign that's quick and easy, driving engagement, getting more leads in the door. Kind of, you're juggling, right? And Natalie, please chime in. Tell me.
What do you think, Natalie? Early wins, low hanging fruit.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll go back to what you said earlier, just about I forget how you phrased it, but the quickest, least snaggy way to generate more revenue. And a lot of times when companies are looking to bring in marketing leadership, and even if they're not, just what comes up a lot is new ideas for marketing. And, we could do this type of campaign, or we could run paid ads, or we could, start creating a bunch of content. But my question is always, how are we getting our best customers right now? And who are those people? And how did they find out about us? That is always going to be your fastest path to seeing more success and momentum with those people. And so that's the first thing. And with that, one of the first things that I take my clients through as part of the process is we do a ton of customer interviews and understanding not only surface level. What are the words they're using? What are the phrases? How are they talking about the challenges that they went through before they brought on the client to solve their problems? But
Right.
what is the deeper driver behind that? Like, why did they make those decisions, and what kept them up at night, which I know is a grossly overused term, but so many people miss the simple act of just talking to their customers and understanding those things and documenting it somewhere, and then getting it in front of the sales team and having a conversation about it, because that is going to give you so much insight that you're not going to otherwise have. And you can create all the content in the world, you can come up with all the campaigns in the world, but if it's not described in a way that's going to resonate with your best customers, then you're wasting a lot of time doing it. And so that's really a big piece of low-hanging fruit. And the other thing, which might sound silly, but is massively important when you are fractional and you're trying to move quickly and build trust quickly and credibility with new teams and new executive leadership, is honestly just getting organized and taking initiative, so that the CEO or the other leaders don't have to think about it, coming to them with, hey, this is what I need from you. Or like you said earlier, these are the questions I have, and here's how we're going to run things. And this is what you can expect from me. And this is when we're going to have touch points. This is when I'm going to have touch points with the sales team and the sales leaders. All of that logistics is what allows, especially a fractional, to move really quickly and to, like I said, just build trust and take that immediately off of the CEO's plate. And you can just sort of see that like breath of relief. That's like, oh my gosh, like she's got it. Great. I'm so happy to show up and to give input and to be there when I'm most needed. But without marketing, you don't have a business. And so this needs to be done. And so when someone else can really own it for them, it's right. Huge, and it's a lot of fun to see.
Well, so Natalie, you show up, right? Or you start your engagement. So you've asked the questions and frame it in a way so that you said, okay, I might be able to do some help, good here. And they seem okay. What do clients normally not see? Because, it's very common to, you see something every day, you stop seeing it inside of a business, right? What do they typically not see or not know about until you start working with them from a marketing point of view?
They don't see how many resources they're wasting, time, money, because they're not focused on a strategy, because their internal team, whether that is sales or ops or whomever, isn't bought into the marketing strategy. Because what are we marketing? We're marketing their business, right? And so everyone needs to be on the same page about what the marketing strategy is and how we're going to collaborate on it. Especially for industries, for example, some of my clients have really deep subject matter expertise. And as a marketer, it's my job to bring those people in at the right time to help tell that story. And so they just don't see how, when it's, we have this idea on a Tuesday and then this new idea on a Friday, and then the marketing internal person is just trying to keep up with responding to emails, how detrimental that is to the operation of the business and to the business growth.
And Mary, what do you think?
I'm laughing because I visualize, it's like they're all chickens with their heads cut off running around because they're kind of panicked. And it's interesting to me that the management, higher level management, doesn't recognize that because they're so buried with their dailies. And I think this is also part of a startup small business mentality. And then they get to a point, usually when they hit about 10 million, they realize, all right, we really need to get our act together here. Like, we get the marketing's valuable. We've been spitballing. I call it the spaghetti approach, where they're just throwing stuff up against the wall to see what sticks. And then, sales is off doing this and probably using outdated messaging, which is my number one pet peeve. They're all just a bunch of cowboys running around. Their intention is great. They're really trying, but they're just not coordinated and organized, and they don't have their act together. So, to that point, Natalie, I think showing them the value of, look, you can spend 5 hours and get this, and it's targeted and it's quantifiable and everybody can see it, or you can spend 20 hours and you're still going to have a mess and you're not going to have just the basics. It's a lot of foundational marketing, I think, that just gets overlooked because people don't know how to think about marketing. In my experience, if you ask companies, CEOs, what do you consider the difference between sales and marketing? They don't have an answer. for them, marketing is the same as sales, and all they care about is the revenue.
Right.
So I try to really work hard on breaking it down so they understand we do this, they do this, we're partners, we're dancing together. And look at, we won the competition, right? It's just, it's interesting. It's interesting.
Well, then
I would
go ahead.
expand on that just really quickly, because you said like the handful of hours versus the 20 hours, which in and of itself is a massive cost, but companies will continue this way for months and for years. And it just becomes, this is how we operate. And, nothing changes if nothing changes. It's like, how are you going to do this differently in order to get everyone on the same page and to focus and prioritize? Because otherwise you're just going to keep throwing it out the door and praying. And that's like not a reliable way to scale things. So
I call it the bonfire effect, right? Like, do you guys like your money? Just throw it in there, throw some gasoline on it, and poof, and now all of a sudden you've got a really strategic spend, where every dollar is going. That's another thing too, by the way, that a lot of them don't have a marketing budget. They go, oh, well, we spend this. Yeah, that's not a marketing budget. I want to know where every dollar is going and what we're getting for it.
Right.
A lot of them don't have any concept of, oh, well, we need to evaluate this, and maybe we don't need 3 other software solutions that have just been sitting there that nobody's using. There's a ton of waste. And then so when you do get them organized and you show them, they're usually baffled, like, oh my God, because you've got to be careful. You don't want to insult them. You'd be like, yeah, you should have been paying attention to this. You guys just burned $6 million. Like, imagine how much you left on that table, right? So it's our job to kind of gently say, well, we get it. Everybody was running around with their hair on fire, so we're going to put the fires out.
Well, then, Mary, how about this then? Like, what should a leadership team or a CEO understand about fractional CMOs, for example, specifically, to get the maximum value from one? They finally decided to bring in a CMO, but it's a fractional CMO. Like, what should they understand? How should they get their last dollar's worth?
Yeah. So first of all, the fact that they're open to it tells you that they are understanding they need help.
Right.
If they want to get the value out of it, then they need to think strategically about, look, I only get you, and this is what I tend to do with them is, look, in order to keep this in line, so you're very clear, you get X amount of hours a week, because I do have other clients and I want to make sure there's dedicated time for you and that we're giving you the results that you want. So to keep them organized, it's, hey, we're going to work on this and this and this right now. Right. And keep them organized and the process and the approach. When I take that approach, they're much more comfortable. At the end of every month, as an example, I insist on providing, here's your monthly report on here's what we accomplished. Here's where we are. Here's where we're going next month. Everybody's on the same page. Here's the gaps. Here's the red flags. This is, oh, you guys didn't tell me about this. So by the way, this is going to get bumped. There's always that going on. There's always something that's under the hood that nobody tells you about. But then they're realizing, oh, if the CEO can dedicate a half an hour a week to meet with the CMO every Monday, as an example, things stay in line because people can make decisions, right? They can cut the fat and get it out of the way. Whereas a lot of times there's other people in the company that are hesitant to move forward with anything because they need that final decision.
Right.
If they commit their time and everybody's clear on like, yes, we're going to do this, and they rally their troops, including the CFO, by the way, they're a really big part of this because showing that calculation and that ROI oftentimes gets missed as well. So, the CFO has to sign off on the budget and report up to the CEO. So everybody's clear that you guys are going to spend this money and here's where we're spending it. If they will commit to that, and it's a change for them because they've been running around with their hair on fire.
Right.
So it's to calm down and get organized. And Natalie, I'm sure you can elaborate a little bit more on that.
Natalie, what should a CEO or a leadership team or a board, understand about fractional CMOs to get like great value?
That matter of fact, marketing is an experiment and it's iterative. And when you're taking a step back to be more strategic, it is not the immediate ROI. We're picking up the phone and doing cold calls to try and fill the funnel, for example, or we're, dumping thousands of dollars into a paid ads campaign to get more people to our website. It is long-term. It is a partnership. It is testing and learning. It's knowing why you're testing and learning and what you're testing and learning for. But it really is a long-term partnership and a leader that you're bringing into your organization to be part of your team, right? It's someone who is reflecting your organization. And I'll just speak for myself that when I work with clients, I have an email address with them, and I'm working with partners, and I'm working with members of their team, and it's you're in it. And so just have that expectation on the front end that if you have someone that is willing to walk through it with you, that's probably what you need if what you've been trying so far hasn't worked, right? Like, again, we come back to this, what needs to be different. It's not just executing the tactics because you think that they're the right ones, and then all of a sudden you're going to find this silver bullet that's just going to take you to the next level, right? So that's what I would say.
All right, so Natalie, what are some of the red flags that they should not have hired a fractional CMO, or should not have been looking for one, or we're not ready to have a CMO or a fractional CMO yet?
Yeah. Marketing is brought in to amplify your business and to amplify the products that you have or the services that you have. And I think a lot of times marketing, and I don't think I've seen this, that marketing is sort of seen as, well, we just need more eyeballs. We just need more exposure. If only more people knew about this, then it would be a slam dunk and we would have all these customers. And often that's not the case. And so a red flag for me, and this is something that, again, I pick up on sales calls, is, if they're telling me we don't need the strategy, we just need someone to execute, and I'm looking at their website and I'm looking at their social channels, and I'm seeing in 3 seconds that, you need the strategy because what you're telling me doesn't line up with how you are portraying yourself to everybody else, to prospects, to potential customers. And so if they're not willing to hear that objective feedback, and that's just a big red flag for sure, because then you can't be an effective partner for them. So that's a big one.
Yeah.
Mary,
can I elaborate on that? Yeah.
They shouldn't have hired, or they weren't ready.
Well, it's interesting. A lot of times they know they need help. They know that they're a mess, but they can't get past, well, I just need tactical.
Yes.
Yeah, no. So I oftentimes, and I've done this quite a bit now. I mean, I've been doing this for 14 years, so I can identify them really quickly. And I flat out say, look, if you're not mentally willing to accept that this is a game changer for you, that we're going to this next level, and you're so wrapped up on the tactical, you should just hire a marketing manager. They can juggle what you're doing. Right. You can keep going along. And then when you finally are ready, call me. But there's something in their psyche that terrifies them. And I don't know if part of it is some of these people, but they want to control everything. They want to be involved in everything. And again, this kind of depends on where they are in their business, right? And then they get to a point where they realize, okay, I don't need to do that, but they have trust issues because they've hired the wrong people before. So they're terrified to trust anybody. And that's a big one. So for me, I completely empathize with that, but I'm also really direct with look, I get it, but at some point you're going to have to figure out a way for you to vet who you want, who you're comfortable working with, and what you're trying to accomplish. And that person can help you tie it together. And honestly, there have been a couple where I've identified that, hey, this isn't a good fit because of their psyche, but I've sent them great referrals. Go talk to these people might be able to help you get to that next level. And it is interesting to me that once they get to that 10 million, that's when things settle down a little bit. And mentally, they've been doing it. They've been through enough trial and error. They realize that they've got to pull in some help. How do I get that trust established? I understand better what's working, what isn't working. Okay, I'm ready. And I don't know, we haven't talked about this, but and Natalie, I don't know if you've come across this too, but oftentimes I suggest there's a book called Traction that really highlights the entrepreneurial operating system. To me, it's like baseline marketing business management 101. But to a lot of these people, it's, changes their world completely. It really helps them understand, oh, this is why we're meeting once a week. They use terms in the book, oh, we'll identify rocks. And I'm just like, okay, you can call it whatever you want, but it's a gap. Red flag, we got it up. We have an issue here. Why do we have an issue? Well, so-and-so is not spending the time on it that they need to. We can't move this along. We're codependent here. You're finally getting them into management. A lot of them just haven't been really doing it right.
Okay, so we've got a couple minutes left, so I want to throw in like an extra question under the time limit. So, Natalie, let's start here. The CMO came to you and said, "Hey, things have been going pretty good. I'm satisfied. So now you and I together are going to interview and choose the next head of sales. What are you looking for in that candidate?"
Yeah, and the CEO, I think, right? You said the CMO.
Oh yeah, the CEO came to you.
So I've been fortunate to partner with sales leaders, fractional CROs, et cetera, on client projects, and it's a huge opportunity. Like was shared earlier, it's a dance, it's whatever you want to call it. But I'm looking for someone who's collaborative, who is open, who's a creative problem solver, and who's just willing to meet the client where they are. And like I said earlier, what are the biggest opportunities here that we can get a little scrappy and we can figure things out together. So I would say that just collaboration is such a huge one. And with that, obviously, is communication. So, we've talked about having regular touch points with the CEO, but also with the sales team, with the sales lead, like making sure that we're not sending outdated messaging, and here's why, and here's what we've done recently to learn more about what we should be saying, for example. So, I mean, those are the big ones. And for me, I I always want to come into a situation and be the best team member I can be. And whether that is the head of sales or the operations person, or like you said, the CFO, like marketing can't be effective if it is off in the corner or off in a silo. Like it just does not work. And so it's really important to build those relationships.
And Mary, what about you? What are you looking for in a new head of
all of that? Absolutely. And my favorite sales leaders are leaders that really understand the value of relationship management and teaching their team how to do it. So, I just read an article again this morning where companies are people, essentially. And if you're going up competitively against somebody who's right in line with you, they're going to pick you if you treat them well, if you are personable, if you are genuine, if you're transparent, if you address all of their questions, take time. And that's an art. A lot of salespeople miss that, and they've never had mentorship that allows them to understand how to do it. And there's inefficient ways to do it, and there's efficient ways to do it, right? And making sure marketing, obviously, so if we're working together, making sure, all right, what else do you need if you have these kinds of really difficult, long sales cycles? Because again, when the push comes to shove, if they like the sales rep better and they feel like they're getting the attention that they need and they're going to have the service that they need and any issues are going to be addressed, they're going to pick you. So for me, that's like icing on the cake. That's always the best. Everything Natalie said, plus really understanding the value of that and mentoring their team, because then marketing is effective.
Well, this has been great. Mary, tell people, and then followed by Natalie, tell people how to find you.
Online, everywhere, the same old thing, mavenmarketingsolutions.com. I know it's a big lame, but there's a funny story behind it. But yes, I'm in Austin. Email, call, whatever. I'm here.
Okay. And Natalie, how do people find you?
Yeah, so I'm primarily on LinkedIn, just Natalie Swan. And then the website you can find my firm is swanandassociates.co. So there's no M on the end. But yeah, you can book a call there and would love to have a chat or send a DM on LinkedIn and love to meet you.
All right. And that's it for this episode, which is technically the 10th episode. I don't know if it'll air as the 10th episode. I don't necessarily, but it's been great to talk to you guys. It's wonderful to meet you. And if you're watching this, we'll see you again next time. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
See ya.